What's going on, y'all? This your boy 1080G. This is the Unfocused and Focused Podcast. We are back once again. Got the boy Tastro in the building.
What up, what up, what up?
You already know, we here, back at it, Money Making Monday.
Money Making Monday.
How you feeling today, man?
Man, I'm feeling excellent. Started the day off proper with a proper workout. And you know what's crazy? I was thinking that I was beating going against the grain as far as going super early to go work out at 5 in the morning. The gym was flooded, bro.
For real?
5 in the morning, dog.
What gym you go to?
Planet Fitness in the West End.
Okay.
In the West End. Yeah. 5 in the morning. Filled with people. And
That's
I was
crazy.
thinking I was thinking I was going, kind of being there by myself.
So
yeah.
You've been there, I'm sure, after hours, not after hours, but like when people
Regular
go,
time.
like 5, 6.
Like just on some afternoon type tip.
Okay.
It's normally, of course you expect a gang of people there. However, I didn't expect a gang of people at the spot 5 a.m., bro.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. That's why I work out. It's a gym at my complex, private gym. And most people don't use the gym at the complex.
Right,
so
right,
you
yeah.
can get it in and, take as much time on
as
the
you
equipment.
need, yeah.
It just seemed like I've been to LA Fitness before, and them prime times like 5 in the morning, 5 in the evening. It's like I don't know. It could get real weird. Maybe in the West End it's a little different, but in the city, you trying to work out. I might make a note of what set I'm on, how much weight I put on, because I track my workout so I can keep progressing. And then you look up, and then somebody just staring at you like, "Yo, bro,
move out the way, man. I'm trying to get to that machine." That's pretty much what they're trying to tell you.
It's a lot of the alphabet boys here, or the rainbow boy, however you want to put it. It just gets uncomfortable sometimes in the gym. I just put it like that. It's people that's not as focused. It's people that's not as focused in the gym as you would expect them to be.
I mean, because I think the problem that I've seen is too much vanity placed in being in the gym. Like, people are not there for the workout. They're there to say that they were there to work out. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You see the selfies, you see them at the gym. Like, it's like, yo, if you're really working out, do you have time to do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I understand some people, recording their workouts, I guess, so they can, see their progression or whatever the case. But it's like, if you're really getting it in, you don't have time for all the extras as far as showing that you were there. Because they'll see that you were there just based on how you look in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only annoying thing that I don't like about the gym. I guess because for so long at this point, since the pandemic has started, the gyms were closed. So I resorted to working out outside. So a lot of my workouts have been outside. So to be quite honest, me actually going into the gym has been weird for me because I'm so used to just being by myself out in the elements and just working out. But it's like when you're in this confined space, it's like you see some of the weirdest things in regards to working out. So I don't know, but I try to have tunnel vision. But I was just super surprised at how many people were there early in the morning at 5 a.m.
Yeah, it just depends on the person. I feel like some people, they need that accountability. They need to be in that environment and meet people and get into the classes and stuff.
Yeah.
It's nothing wrong with that, but for me, I like to just get in my zone and, somebody just, you see it on the TikTok videos with the women, it's like they working out and they get triggered by the guys like looking at them all crazy and, being in Midtown, like I said, the guys that do the same thing to guys. I might be the first person to make a TikTok video about a guy just looking at me. It's just like, yo, like, did you come to work out or you came? It's like people actually go to work out, I feel like, just to be on some like perverted type stuff sometime. I've heard about LA Fitness. I think it's the one in Buckhead where I'm gonna just tell you, don't get into the sauna at the LA Fitness in Buckhead because you're gonna see some real strange activities. And I'm gonna just leave it at that, man. But yeah, shout out to to getting it in 5 in the morning. That's you got the army gear on. You in grind season right now.
I mean, man, listen, you know, like it's just crazy how like looking at like old pictures of when I had got a basic training and I was looking real crazy. Like I'm talking about super like cock D's, like geez, and like I didn't even realize at the time what I was looking like when I was looking like that at that time. You know what I'm saying? But looking back now, like, okay, and you gotta get it together, bro. Like from looking at those type of pictures, like, okay, so I see what I need to work towards in regards to getting myself back up to par. So yeah, I gotta get it in, man.
So how long ago were you in the basic training? Because you seem to still be in that army, you know, just real locked in, disciplined type of mindset.
So I did 8 years in the Army Reserves or whatever, and that I've been out since like 2011. But I mean, it's one of those things, to be quite honest, I hate to make this comparison, but it's just like people that have been locked up. You're programmed for life. If we're being honest, like you are literally programmed for life in regards to how you maneuver and how you operate, and that's just pretty much what it's been for me. Like I'm always on, you know, the slogan "Stay alert, stay alive." I got that from a drill sergeant when I was in basic training. So I just move in that type of militant way, just naturally, not thinking about it. That's just what happens a lot of times. It's like when I'm trying to make certain things happen, I just revert back to what got me here in the first place. And it was that self-discipline. The main thing that I learned from the Army, my grandmother was the only one that was pro me going to the military. And she said, yeah, you need the discipline. And I'm glad that I had that discipline there because it has helped me out overall. Because it's like at the end of the day, if you don't have anybody there to motivate you, you got to be able to motivate yourself. And that's where the self-discipline comes into play. When you're not motivated, that's where self-discipline really comes into play because you know it still has to be done. And so that's pretty much where I'm at with it. Like I know it has to be done. Nobody else can do it but me. So I have to make it happen. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't nobody lose weight for me or get me up to par but me. You see what I'm saying? And so that I just, you know, instill that within myself as far as just how I operate to this day. And those lessons that I learned from the military just never have left me.
It's crazy you say that because there was once a time when somebody else couldn't lose weight for you, but unfortunately in 2023 you can't go to somebody else to lose weight for you.
Man, but that you know what? I'm glad you said that because to me, and I've known several people that have had those surgeries and things of that nature, but I think that's just an easy cop out, man. And it's like, at the end of the day, what have you gained from going to someone, going under whatever type of procedure to get this done when you could have easily done this yourself? Granted, it's not going to be easy fix because it took you a while to get to where you are. But it's just like, for me, I don't see the glory in putting so much into that because people have lost their lives in those situations. I've known a coworker that went under trying to, you know, have a weight loss surgery and she died in the process. So for me, I've always just looked at it like, man, listen, you have to have that within yourself as far as making that happen. You having somebody to temporarily fix that or whatever or get that off for you is not going to fix the issue if you're still not putting the right habits and putting the right things into your body. You see what I'm saying?
True.
So like I had a friend, she had the surgery. 3 years later, she wanted to have the surgery again. And I'm like, what? I thought it was a one-time fix, and I thought after that, after you had the surgery, you were going to work towards making sure you kept yourself up to par from that point on. But she wanted to have the surgery again.
That's crazy.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I had a instance where I guess I tried to take the easy route. I've never told this story before, but when I was in high school, I remember me and my pops was watching like some infomercial or something, and I think they still got
Hydroxycut.
It was one of them joints like you put it around your stomach and they give you abs. Like you just sit there and watch TV.
Oh my goodness!
And that joint, like I stopped using it because it'll get like real hot and it just feel like it's about to burst.
So is it a girdle?
Nah, it just starts shaking, just vibrating on your stomach.
See, that's just wild, man.
And
they have that for butts now for women.
What?
Yeah.
You just wrap it around your butt and hit the arm button.
Hold on, shout the bars. What up, bars?
Shout out the bars. We jumped in a conversation so quick. But yeah, shout out the bars. We got bars in the building.
What?
Yeah, y'all.
So what is it? I mean,
I don't know. I was scrolling one day and I thought it's really like just what he was saying.
And it vibrates.
It basically sends pulses.
Yeah, like your muscles or something.
And grow your bottom.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you can't cheat the process. I learned pretty quickly with the little ab thing that it was a scam. I'm like, man, I've been wearing this every day religiously for like 2 weeks.
You had no results.
I ain't seen not one ab. They said 6-pack. I ain't even see the 1-pack.
But see, I think that's the issue too, because I think ultimately with anything, it just takes time. But we've become a microwave society where we want everything instantaneously, and it's like it doesn't work that way, yo. Like it just don't work that way, man. It never has worked that way. Anything that you've gotten quick, you lose it quick.
Yeah, you can't cheat the struggle. You can't cheat the grind. You gotta just get right into it. Put your head down and just get right into it.
Trust the process.
And it's so much more satisfying when you get to your results when you go that route as well. So yeah, speaking of just going that natural approach, that holistic approach. Go ahead and introduce our guest today, Tastro. Please just.
Okay, so let me set the scene first and foremost. It was like 2017, 2018. I was recommended to get a holistic facial from this goddess. And so I chose, out of her different options she had available, the avocado facial. I want y'all to just sit there and let that marinate for a second. Avocado facial.
I love avocado.
I already like avocado as is. I like it in my salads, my smoothies. You know what I'm saying? Guacamole, everything. But have you ever thought to use it on your face? You feel what I'm saying?
I never thought of that.
That's what this goddess did for me. And I'm talking about my face felt so replenished and refreshed afterwards. Like I felt like a whole new person. I felt like layers of like dead skin have been just lifted off of my face just based off of this alone. And just her aura and her essence when she was giving me the facial was very calming, very soothing, very protecting, very nurturing as well. And so I had to bring her on, the goddess Honeysuckle Moon.
Right.
Hello there. Thank you so much for the warm introduction.
You are absolutely welcome. We are honored to have you here because I felt like this would be a very interesting episode in regards to just your approach in general, because I know for one that you're well traveled, and as far as the places that you have been, you have made sure that you've tapped in to the natural resources of the land that have helped replenish and just taken you and vibrated you to higher heights in regards to your vision and your ambitions and things that you are aiming to achieve out here on this physical plane. So yes, we are definitely honored to have you here with us.
Yes, I was really enjoying hearing you all talk about the choice of well-being, like just within the brotherhood, and saying, hey, I don't want to rush the process. I don't want to cheat the process.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the mindset that you have to enter into just, as you expand what self-care looks like for you. Like I always tell people you should wash your face the same way like how you brush your teeth. Do it every day. Like make it a standard regimen. And so, like hearing you talk about exercising, going to the gym at 5 a.m., going to the gym not for the vanity of it, but for the sanity of it.
Absolutely,
I really felt the greatness in that. And so I'm here to just enhance what self-care and self-love and self-preservation looks like, in this conversation, as an herbalist, as a plant-based skin therapist, and, overall mama and sister to many.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's take a step back. what I gotta hear this name one more time because it just got this nice ring to
What?
it.
Honeysuckle Moon.
Honeysuckle
What?
Moon.
Okay.
So where did that name come from?
It literally came to me from the sky.
From the sky.
From the sky. Like, it was just an activation. One day back in the 90s, I was walking through the arts district. I resided in Dallas at the time. And I was, interestingly enough, on my way to a Marley concert. Today is Bob Marley's birthday, so it's so interesting that we're having that conversation today. Wow. Yeah, but I was on my way to a Bob Marley family concert, and it was as if I just heard, "You are Honeysuckle Moon." I was like, I am Honeysuckle Moon. And I've walked in that light ever since. You know, that was, what, about 25 years or so ago?
Wow.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you, because one thing I know about Bob Marley, you know, he's big on the weed smoke, and I'm assuming it was some herbs in the air, possibly. I'm like, you know, that sometimes puts you in that element when you start hearing stuff like what I just want to know more about this concert. Like, how
it was church.
Oh, it was church.
It was literally church. That's back when all of his sons used to travel together. So, you know, there was Steven, there was Ziggy, there was Damien, Rohan, Julian. All of them were literally there together. Kimani was there as well. And they would all just like come together, bring their own respective angle of Bob, you know, like, because to me they're all Bob combined. Like, that's how I see the Marley brothers. And yeah, of course there was cannabis in the air, right?
Yeah, I'm just like, did you get contact when you was hearing these voices like that? You know, I'm like, that was dope. That was you was definitely at one with yourself to be able to, you know, have that awareness to hear that.
Indeed. And you know, and the thing about it, I was so young and so undistracted. That's the other thing that we have to look at. You know, I always say that, you know, the babies are the ones that are closest to the Almighty. Like, you listen at what they're saying, they're going to give you some divine conversation. You just have to be patient enough and undistracted enough. So, you know, as you're, you know, growing older, more things topple, you know, the responsibilities, the bills, the this and the that. And the stress, in my opinion, is actually the main blockage between you and the divine, right? So as much stress as you can get out of the way, you can hear the Most High speak with you.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like, especially when you said just not being distracted, you know, because obviously this is the Unfocused Focused podcast. Like, we speak about focus and distractions a lot, you know, so you're saying at a young age, because me at a young age, I feel like I was distracted. How were you able to find that focus so early? You know, it's like at a young age being undistracted, you don't hear that too often.
Yeah, it probably was the cannabis back then. yeah, that was the remembrance of that stage. And so I'd probably been smoking herb for about a year or two at that time, and so I was literally open to the goodness of it. And I think I've seen just about every stage of it. I've definitely got my thoughts about how it supports our well-being, but you know, interestingly enough, I have been on a hiatus from cannabis, and this is the first Bob Marley birthday ever. I would think that I have not partaken of the herbs, right? And so it's very interesting, but it is all part of my personal self-care journey, you know, that I made that decision. And so I think that cannabis is in a very interesting stage right now. And years ago, I had a dream that the whole cannabis industry had more or less been infiltrated by the government to where they had done something with the cannabis. And this was before, you know, Cali weed and everything became very popular. And it was actually more of a powder, and it was more addictive. And so sure enough, if you get a gram of what they're calling Cali weed, or, you know, some people, they might call it za, other people might call it rapper weed. I hear all these different names, but if you grab a bud, it feels more like a powder when you break it down than it does an actual plant broken down, right?
Yeah.
And so I've got concerns about those processes. And so the last time I actually partook of herb, I was in Jamaica. And part of what caused me to stop, or, you know, just kind of put it on pause, was I was having headaches. I was noticing different things with my body that I felt like I needed to give my body a chance to reveal itself to me again. But sure enough, I took the pause, went to Jamaica, burned herb there, had none of those symptoms, right? And so I said, okay, there was something to this. And so when I came back here, that was early November of last year, I didn't partake of any more. And so I'm definitely looking forward to my next trip to Jamaica, right? But it's a matter of sustainability and even trust within the growing process. You come out so much better growing your own cannabis, in my personal opinion, from, you know, seeds from a trusted source, rather than just getting herb from somebody. You have no idea who grow it, what kind of fertilizers have been put on it. You don't know. And so why would you put your health and your wellness in somebody's hands, all in the name of being elevated? Because now, you know, the responses could be more of a distraction than an elevation. Yeah, so like that's really the heights for me, because now it's bigger than getting high, or, you know, getting elevated or getting irie. Now it's about, what is this doing to my body right now?
Right.
Versus if I got it somewhere else. It was organically grown. You know, the beauty of it is, my significant other actually has a cannabis farm. And so he prides himself on growing Sacramento Rastafarian cannabis. And so, you know, that's the way for me. Like, that's herb that I can trust. And so, you know, when you kind of tap into it in that way, you'll find that, you know, I don't know how old y'all are, but if you got some good cannabis in the 90s, in the early 2000s, yeah, you want to be able to find herb that's more so like those days, rather than a lot of the stuff that, in my personal opinion, is being sold at the same price that crack was in the 90s, right? And so now the dealers are trying to hit that same profit margin, and now you're talking about a very dangerous zone, in my opinion. And so it's like, okay, X out all of that, you know, start treating cannabis the way, you know, you treat spirulina, and you may have a better result than, you know, just more or less, oh yeah, I want to get as high as possible. I want to smoke as much as possible. I really don't think that's the way, because at the end of the day, you want to know truly how your body is feeling, right?
Right.
And so being that one of the positive effects of cannabis is the pain reduction component of it, however, your body's signal that something is wrong is actually through pain. So if you're blocking the feeling of pain, you might not know exactly what's going on with your body.
True.
Right? It's another degree of self-care.
Right.
And you're talking about somebody who loves cannabis. But what I figured out was that I love myself more.
Absolutely.
Right? And so that's my school of thought around it. And I think that, you know, when people look at me, they look at, you know, the yard long dreadlocks, they look at, you know, how much I love Jamaica, and, you know, just the overall storyline of Honeysuckle Moon. I think that is healthy for that level of wisdom and understanding to come from somebody like me, you know, not somebody who tries to demonize it. It's like, look, this is good, right? Cannabis is good on a lot of different levels, but the way that we're receiving it here in the United States, we may want to become acutely aware who that grower is, what the distribution channels are, and if you can, definitely, you know, make it to where if you're not growing it, then somebody who loves you is growing it, and that's who you're getting it from.
Word.
Yeah.
Man, that's a amazing take. I never thought about it like that whatsoever. But when you think about it now, like the marijuana is, in fact, when you break it down, it's like for the most part, like a powdery type form for the most part. A lot of it that you run into. And so to hear you make mention of that does pose, you know, major concerns. Like things have changed in regards to the quality of what we're dealing with now, and the prices have certainly went up as well. Like, I never even thought about it like that, but when you look at it, that could be very detrimental to us ultimately, especially how now, like, a lot of states are becoming they're decriminalizing marijuana, and it's becoming a legal thing now.
Mm-hmm. And you have to ask why.
Yeah.
Why is it legal for them now? All right, because like I'm from Louisiana, and when you start looking at what they're attempting to charge for, you know, medical grade cannabis and for the Cali weed and so forth, you know, to be honest, Louisiana can't afford those prices.
Right.
You know, I mean, it makes no sense, and I hate to have to liken the price to the crack game, but when you really check for it, it's another tool of poverty. Like, it's going to take persons further into poverty, because I don't know who should be spending that much money on cannabis and not getting a pound, to be honest. Like, when you really think about it, like okay, what's the current price of Cali weed? I didn't know this self-care conversation was going to become a cannabis conversation, but let's see here. An ounce right now is what of Cali weed? What, about 200 or so? Mm-hmm. So if you say a QP, so what you're talking about, what, 800?
Yeah.
And so if you're getting a pound, that's going to be somewhere between what, 2,500 and 3,000?
That's correct.
That's too much. Something that you can grow from a seed. So now you have to ask, what are the politics in that? Who can afford that? I can't afford that. Who can afford that?
Yeah, I never thought about the prices and the control that the government has you know, taking over the weed period, pushing poverty. I would have never thought that. That's a very interesting take that I, you know, have never heard until now.
Yeah, it's more addictive, so you're going to smoke more of it. I remember when I first tried what was quote unquote gas, and I mean, I remember I literally like cussed the brother out. I was like, y'all calling this gas? Like, that sounds like gasoline. That sounds like something I don't need to be a part of. And so he tried to clean it up. Oh, this is lamb's bread. But what I noticed about it was a harder high, but it didn't last as long. Okay. And so you could probably say the same thing about a lot of this new age rapper weed. You're going to go up really, really high, but it's not going to last as long, and then you're going to want to twist up another one, and then you feel like, oh, well, it doesn't burn the same in papers, probably because it's powdery now, right? And so now you're putting the tobacco in there because it's a blunt now, and now you're affecting your lungs adversely. It's a real thing, and so we really got to look at this.
Yeah, you got me wanting to hop on Google right now just to do some more research.
Yeah.
But
who's willing to tell the truth?
I feel like Google, information is a lot more accessible.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a matter of how much reach it gets. If it gets to the masses, somebody's going to shut down a website. But, you know, I feel like it's so many bloggers. You can't shut them all down. You know, I'm just interested to see if there are other people that share that same perspective. I just thought that was interesting. But yeah, we definitely didn't expect this to go the cannabis route. But, you know, we live in a city in Atlanta where that's a big thing. You know, I remember when I first moved out here, before they started changing the laws, you would have thought you was in Cali. You would have thought you was in Cali the way people were just walking down the street smoking, and you pull up to somebody at the red light and they ashing the blunt out the window. I'm like, I could have been a cop pulling up, and everybody's just like all willy nilly about it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you spoke on it from a uplifting perspective, because it's a lot of people, I think it's a thin line that you got a group of people that use it to uplift themselves, and then you got a group of people that they overuse it, and they become unproductive, and
it's to get high, but getting low while getting high.
Exactly. And it's like, how do you find that? How do you figure out how much is enough, or how much is too much? Because like you said, the rappers, they don't care about the high going down, because they were gonna roll up another blunt regardless. They were gonna smoke back to back blunts all day regardless. So you can get away with that, quick high, and you come down with a rapper because they just, I've been in the studios, and it's just like back to back nonstop, and I'm just like, is their tolerance different, or
no, it's not. It's not. But think about it. They have relatively the same lung capacity that you do, right? Each person has relatively about the same lung capacity. And you know that these record labels are actually counting on rappers not living very long.
You're right.
Okay? So if they can toxify them in as many ways as possible, right? Whether it be through a lot of sex, unprotected sex. So now you got STDs. It's the alcoholism. It's the lean, right? That has its own challenges within our communities. And if we're wise enough to just smoke trees, now they're affecting the trees, and then we're going back to back to back to back to back. And like I said, once again, you're putting it in a blunt. What are you doing to your lungs? Are you really checking for your body's wellness? And so that's the point that I really want to bring home, is for us to just do that self-assessment. Okay, how does my heart feel? Is my head hurting for too many days in a row? Are my lungs extending? Are they getting as much air as they possibly can? What is my digestive tract doing? Does it feel sluggish? Am I constipated more than I need to be, right? How do my muscles feel? How do my bones feel? How does my circulatory system feel? How does my nervous system feel? We have to do these check-ins, especially as we're aging, because what we thought that we could do every day in college may not necessarily be the case as you're coming into your 40s, your 50s, and so forth.
Right.
And the average rapper, is not very young. They got a few young ones out there, but then they got quite a few that's closer to age 40 plus, right? And so having that mindset of well-being, I feel like is going to be part of what saves us, especially with us coming out of the pandemic. Whether you're vaccinated or not, we were compromised as a people, right? Because something was dropped into the atmosphere that we were not supposed to be taking in. So our cells, our respiratory system has been compromised. Okay, so we just got to do better.
So how do we're speaking of that, as far as the pandemic is concerned, how do we recover from that overall? For instance, for someone that actually did take the vaccine, what can they do at this particular point to, I guess, counterattack that vaccine kind of compromising their immunity system overall?
So I would say the first thing to do would be to detox, right? I would suggest a quarterly detox. I think a monthly detox may be doing a lot. Who can really keep up with a monthly detox? But if you can do a quarterly detox, with each season coming, the next one is spring, do a spring detox, The second thing that I would say is get hyper vigilant about your supplements, your vitamins, making certain that you've got in, your vitamin D. Magnesium is one of the ones that I'll be adding in next. I also have a Rastafarian Roots Tonic that has everything from spirulina, burdock root, ginger, neem, elderberry, wormwood, and a lot of these different herbs go into not only like detox, but they're also rebuilding herbs, right? So you want to make certain that you're getting in your good superfoods like your spirulina. Make certain that you're keeping that coconut in the mix, getting coconut water. For me, the other part of it is just getting out of the United States. That's a detox within itself. I feel like every time I go to the ocean, I shed 10 years. Now I might put them back on once I get back over here, but that's my opportunity to really lay my burdens down and allow Mother Nature to do her work. I'm eating fresh fruit. I'm breathing in that fresh sea salt air. You can't pay enough money for that level of wellness. And so exercising regularly, so I loved what y'all were talking about. It was actually inspiring me. And so whether you're doing yoga, going to the gym, dance, fitness, being very conscious of your breathing, being very conscious of how your bodily processes are, I think it's gonna like really save many of us.
So you saying just going out to vacation in a sense is obviously people look at that as a mental detox, but that can also be a physical internal detox as well, just being in different air.
Absolutely. Part of what I did, being that Jamaica is my personal happy place. If you looked at the numbers state by state, in comparison with the numbers of people getting COVID in the islands in particular, you would notice that it was much less. The numbers were so much smaller, and it wasn't just because of the population. It's because they're perpetually breathing in sea salt air. Sea salt detoxifies, okay? And so if you breathe in a virus, at the very next breath, you got something that's going and fighting against it, right? If you're eating fresh fruits, that's something else that's fighting against it. So why weren't they telling us to do sea salt humidifiers? Why weren't they telling us, hey, you better make certain you're getting in all those good fresh fruits?
Right.
Put in those berries. They're your antioxidants. Keep eating those green leaves. That was not part of the narrative. Okay? It was about something else. And it wasn't about self-preservation. It wasn't about building up the body.
What were they saying? They told us to stay inside and social distance.
Mask up. That was it.
Mask up. So now you're deoxygenating yourself.
Yep.
You're not getting any sunlight. I'm telling you, I did more gardening. I was outside because I know that if I did get sick, guess what? If I was outside, I was working outside in the garden, I was going to be sweating. That stuff had to come through my pores. I'm being active enough to where it can't stick. Because the other thing that I think that really took a lot of people out was by the time they got to the hospital, number one, the hospitals are so cold. Every time you go in the hospital, it's cold in there.
Yeah.
Then they're plugging you up to a ventilator. Are you getting a new ventilator each time? No, you are not.
Nope.
All right? You're getting a recycled ventilator from the last person that actually died. So that meant that virus is being recirculated in there. And here's the other thing about it. That phlegm was so thick and dense from that COVID virus. And I think the people were so afraid of it that they didn't even think to just cough it up and out. If you're feeling phlegm, why don't you just cough it up and out?
Right.
Right? But it was getting stuck and it was blocking their oxygen and it was building up. And so I feel like a lot of that was a fear-based agenda.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that. I totally feel that way because I remember there was times where if people seen you without your mask on, put your mask on, you're going to get us all sick. That was like a major thing for a lot of people because they were so afraid. I remember even just like wanting to go see my grandmother. I couldn't do it because my aunt was like, you're not you don't have the vaccine. You can't. We don't. Want you in here as far as you could possibly give it to grandma or whatever. But my thing was, if y'all are vaccinated, then why would me not being vaccinated have anything to do with y'all? But it was fear based. It was, you kept seeing statistics every day, people dying, the toll was rising every day, right, or whatever, in America or whatever. And so it was just kind of embedded in the people to be afraid of this virus and whatever they're telling you to do as far as to oblige by, I guess, from preventing it from spreading, you're supposed to do. And that's what a lot of people were doing. So it was certainly fear based. I can definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, but I have to keep it 1,000 too. I don't know about people in other places, but people in the U.S. are nasty. They got some bad habits. Yeah. And so I am a chronic hand sanitizer person now. I'm keeping it with me. I'm sanitizing regularly. I never touch a gas pump without having one of my little food service gloves on, because you just want that barrier, because you thought that after going through all of that people would become more conscious of spreading germs, but it's really the very same, and it would scare many people to think about what a lot of humans are out there doing. All right. And so I do think that there should be an increased awareness about not spreading germs, right, but there shouldn't be the whole fear factor, because that was just another opportunity for them to divide our families. And I don't know how Caucasian, Hispanic, because the Hispanic people, they were still working. Yep. We were indoors, but I saw them up on roofs. They weren't
playing no games. They were still getting to it.
All right. And so I don't know how other cultures of people were being with one another, but I saw how we as indigenous African Black people were being, and it was very divisive.
Yeah, that was a very trying time, I feel like, within our community. I feel like it was a major divide too, because it was like this whole thing of like the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated. That's how I think that was a major pull that I seen more than anything. It was literally separating families and preventing people from being around each other, because they were like, oh, you're not vaccinated, we don't want you coming over here, contaminating us or whatever the case. So I just personally had always felt, as far as this whole pandemic was concerned, if you are just simply taking care of yourself, putting the right things in your body, then you're not going to have those issues that a lot of people had been having. But people, seem to disagree with me as far as that's concerned. But I look at myself, for example, like I remember when it first happened, I remember it was like 2020 for me. I remember I lost smell and taste for a week. Mm-hmm. But for whatever reason, as far as me just resting, constantly drinking, making sure I constantly had water in me or whatnot, I recovered with no problem. Like I bounced back real quick, but there's a lot of cases where that wasn't the case. But I just feel strongly that it was just simply based on how we were taking care of ourselves prior to that even happening in the first place.
Definitely.
A lot of pre-existing conditions I feel like a lot of people had came to the surface based on COVID,
Yeah, for sure. And so just bringing it full circle, it is definitely about taking care of ourselves, right? We do that, we're going to be a lot further ahead, because we don't know what's next. I'm so happy that monkeypox thing didn't, take flight to the degree that they wanted to. Because when I saw that monkeypox as a skin therapist, I had a oh hell no moment. I was like, woo. Yeah. That's kind of rough right there.
Yeah. For me, it was like COVID. It didn't really scare me for real, because I felt like that was a respiratory. It was a thing that it affected people that live the opposite lifestyle than what I live. I'm active, I'm biking, I'm running. But that monkeypox, I ain't know what that was about. They like, all right, we got this new thing popping up, and it looked crazy as hell looking at the pictures, but yeah, it was like the media didn't like it, because I feel like the media they really put the battery in these agendas, and it's like, I guess they wasn't feeling that. The media was like, nah, y'all taking it too far, man. we need to relax for a little bit, because I thought we was gonna hear about that for a minute, and I feel like if we're gonna speak about it just being an agenda or a pandemic, you know, it's like I wonder why that just kind of fell off like that.
You know why it fell off? Because it couldn't stick. They had done so much with COVID. Like, they could throw 10 other viruses out there and it would not do the psychological harm that COVID did for us, okay?
Absolutely.
And so it's just kind of like, okay, well, it's already hit the fan. So, you know, you can't hit the fan again once you hit the fan one time. So now it's like, okay, well, it's only downhill from here, right? So even though it was, you know, a really freaky thing that happened, you know, you'll have some people who are very biblical say that, you know, these are signs of the last days. Because, you know, when they jumped out with the monkeypox, it was looking like, you know, what some people in the Bible would describe as like leprosy. Like, it was rough, right? And so, you know, it's like the whole, okay, don't come near me, don't touch me, don't do this, don't do that. But, you know, I think the other thing, and, you know, I pray, because I know I'm speaking some truths tonight. I didn't know that I was going to be such a portal of truth tonight.
Absolutely.
I thought we were going to have a self-care conversation.
It's all self-care.
This is self-care, you know, but I also recognize that when you speak truth, it puts you in a potential scenario, right? And so just, you know, putting a zone of light and love around myself. I will say that the other mistake that the media made around this monkeypox scenario was they spoke to it being, as you stated earlier, an alphabet people scenario.
Oh yeah.
Right? If you remember that.
Yeah.
That was who they pushed it on first. They were like, okay, well, you know, if you are part of an alternative lifestyle, then you're going to be more susceptible to it. And so when you start thinking about, once again, the politics of it all, the hate and the political lobbying that takes place. Now you're going to have people to say, oh no, take that down. Take that down. Not us, not our kind, not our people. Don't put that on us. So that could have been another reason why it died down so fast.
Because that community has a lot of influence and power.
Yes.
At this point, everybody knows somebody that's you know, in that community, so people aren't as quick to bash them. You know, it's like, I don't know, that makes a lot of sense though, the fact that they try to put it in the alphabet boy community, and it was just like, I don't know, I just think people didn't latch on to it, because like you said, it was like, man, we done been through a lot. We done finally got back to our regular day-to-day activities, and now y'all trying to spin it like, oh, not only, first it was like everybody could get it, and then it, like you said, then it was like, nah, only those people over there could get it. And then I think people just call bullshit. They like, man, get out of here.
Yeah, y'all full of it. Yeah.
And it's so much access to information these days. I think it's a lot more people waking up, you know, and realizing like, damn, like I feel like they did this whole thing because of some type of agenda, and here they go again. You know, y'all gotta come better than that, man. We done figured y'all out, man. We done with this COVID 1, COVID 2, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I don't even know what number it is right now, because that's how detached I am from the agenda. So I saw something a couple of months ago where it was like a new strain or something, but I'm like, hey, in my mind, everybody on earth has had COVID at least one time.
Right.
Y'all are calling it out. And so, you know, the other thing that they did not do was really drive home the fact of like natural immunity once you have it, right? And so like your body automatically is going to have what it needs to fight against it once you've had it, but they're not telling the people that.
Yeah, you had a few doctors that, you know, would speak. I appreciated that. It was like doctors that, you know, they get paid a lot of money to heal people, but even doctors were getting upset, like, nah, man, they lying to y'all. And it was cool to just see, you know, all the different sides. It was like, you know, the media side, like, you got to do this or else you're gonna die. You know, and then it was like, nah, man, they tripping. They don't know what they talking about. They lying. And then you have real doctors with the medical coats on, you know, saying the same thing. You know, it's just like, you just really gotta, at that point, you had to just find your own internal truth. You know, what made sense to you?
Discernment.
What made sense to me was that, you know, I'm gonna use this pandemic to my advantage. I'm gonna still do the things I enjoy. I'm not about to be inside scared every day.
Right.
But I think eventually everybody got to that point, because when they said the monkeypox, it was like, nah.
We good on that.
I gotta work in the morning. Unless y'all talking about some more checks. If y'all talking about some more checks, then we can get into this monkeypox thing.
Yeah, it's at least 16 weeks of them.
Yeah, but they wasn't talking about no more checks, so that's when it was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. They were tired. Yeah, but who's to say that monkeypox wasn't a stress response? Who's to say?
Yeah, it could have very well been, to see how the people react to it and how they follow protocol, and everybody was like, nah, we good on that.
No, but think about the other side of it. Some people actually generate hives when they get stressed out, right?
Yeah,
True.
So they have breakouts. So what if a lack of sunlight infused with all kinds of other stuff that they had the people on turn into monkeypox because you just plain old stressed out? I've never seen more mentally frail people on the planet than right now over the past couple of years. So there could be a lot of theories around this, but I know I don't want it.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't want it for anybody that I know, anybody that I meet. I do feel like there is room and range to perpetuate the peace and love vibration. You know, the earth is in a very dark time, but I don't believe that this is the end. I think that this is the end of a particular school of thought.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, you know, that's why, like I said, the monkeypox didn't go over like they may have wanted it to, because people are just a lot more aware of what's going on. And I think it's cool. It's a lot of people having these conversations, you know, especially in Atlanta. It's a bunch of podcasts. It's a lot of people talking about these same topics, you know, where going back 10, 20 years ago, you might have had a handful of people, and, you know, they might have got silenced and, you know, all type of crazy stuff. But it's hard to control the media because, like, I don't know if you're into basketball, but Draymond Green, he calls like the podcasting and people doing stuff like what we doing, the new media. And it's like, you can't control that. You can't control it. You know, it's like the information is just going to be just flowing from this point out. I think it's just going to get better, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can dig that. And, you know, and I think about how there are other countries, let's say countries in the Middle East, who don't have that luxury when it comes to freedom of speech. So as much as, you know, the U.S. is something that I could really do without on a lot of levels, you actually got to respect some of our freedoms that we're able to exercise, you know, as it relates to, you know, coming here to Midtown, having a real serious build, a meeting of the minds, you know, like this is going to be one of the ones for the books, if you ask me, just because you got me to talk about things that I always think about, but I never talk about because I'm so busy thinking about things that are higher than what they want to have us just sitting in, you know, through fear.
So question. So in regards to, you were speaking on earlier, as far as, you know, people like, because of lack of sunlight, you know, receiving monkeypox, is it safe to say that we can literally, through our mental discourse, actually change our health as far as getting sick, as far as stressing ourselves out to a point where we do cause ourselves to have heart disease or a heart attack or high blood pressure and things of that nature?
I think that our mental wellness definitely plays a part. I don't think that you can get rid of cancer by meditating, right? So you do have to have a certain sense about yourself to say self-preservation is key, right? That's number one. And so I always tell people to use the technology of Western medication, right? They've got, imaging capacity that traditional medicine just doesn't have. So you might want to use that MRI machine to see what's really good with you, right? Do some of the testing, but that doesn't mean that you have to then go on their full regimen, right? And so yes, in part, you can meditate a lot of the stress away. You can do sound baths. You can, put on your favorite nature sounds and so forth. You can pray. You can talk to somebody who's going to keep it 1,000 with you, because I think that it's better to sort it out than to just hold on to it.
Yeah, I was just thinking if you can think it into a bad way, you can.
Manifestation at its finest. That's what made me ask that, because I've seen times, like, I just think about my father, for example. He's been having kidney issues for quite some time now. He's been on dialysis for quite a few years, but I just always have just studied just him overall, and he always seems to be more stressed than what he should. But it has played, from what I see, him being as stressed as he has been, it's played a toll on his body. And you can kind of literally see it taking place as far as the health conditions and the ailments that he has, just based on how he thinks. A lot of times he seems to be stressed out a lot for no apparent reason or for minuscule types of things. And I feel like that overall has been like the plight for a lot of us overall, as far as being more stressed and I guess angry, and I guess it being all bottled up within. It has to come out somehow, some way. And so what other way for it to come out than in a negative aspect, as far as us getting sick or not feeling well?
So number one, I just want to commend you as far as like more or less being vulnerable around your father's health, because what you now have to do as the next generation is, number one, you have to really command yourself to not follow that very same path, right? Yeah. That's number one. The next thing that you have to do is you have to look at your father, then look at his father, then that father who came before him, and then the father that came before him, until we get back to the transatlantic slave massacre. Because there's so much that's happened to us. I can definitely say with our reproductive health, for sure, it shows up with fibroids, with prostate cancer, with a lot of the ailments where we no longer had control over our sex and how it was that we produced children. We were forced to have sex with relatives. We were forced to have sex with people who did not share our same genetic code. We were plain old forced to do stuff. So when you start talking about generations of men not feeling like they had the balls to speak up, all right, there's going to be an underlying angry black man in there. Okay. And so I know that I have been pinned as someone who is about black women's wellness, but I'm about black people's wellness. All right. And so I had to sit and think about everything that the brothers have gone through, just as I have what the sisters have gone through, having to, be raped repeatedly, and what that does. It creates fibrous tissues. Okay. Think about that. Fibrous tissues create fibroids. Right. My mother had fibroids. Her mother had fibroids. I had fibroids. Now, if we went back and we checked generations back, we'd probably be able to see that those fibroids started when we were being forced. Right. Okay. And so when you're talking about what your father is moving through, he is the generation before you that still has a lot of suppressed energy, because he comes from that generation of black manhood where you just get up, you go to work, you take whatever the boss man is saying. See, I don't have bosses, right? You probably don't have a boss either, right? But that generation did, and the generation before him also did. So there's a lot of suppressed energy that if you take the tools of meditation, and I mean, I don't feel no way to say, hey, I think you're doing a lot, Dad. You know,
Yeah.
I need you to just bring it down just a little bit. I love you enough to where I don't want you to stress your body out further. There are tools and words of power that you can place upon him that you are destined to do. Because see, we always talk about the Sankofa experience where you go back and you retrieve the knowledge lost and you go to Africa and you do all of this. But we oftentimes forget to Sankofa our parents. Go back and give them all of the wisdom that you now have access to, since you can go to Google every day.
Sure.
Give them that.
No, that makes sense. I think that's important. I try to have those conversations with, obviously I can still get wisdom from my parents, but as I get older, I think the conversations have changed where we can give each other wisdom.
Precisely.
And, that's been cool because, like you said, it's stuff that they didn't know.
Yeah.
And then you get older and you just kind of locked into this lifestyle, whereas, the younger generations were, still in the mix, and I don't know, my experiences are just a lot different from my parents. So it's just cool to be able to pick each other's brain like that, and
it's your responsibility, brother.
Yeah.
It is really your responsibility. Like, how can you be quote unquote woke and you over here talking to all these people within your social media platform, but then you don't go back and impart that knowledge to your parents or to your grandparents? Like really, that's how you heal those who came before you, because you have access to something that they didn't.
And they listening now. Like kids, they might brush you off.
Right.
I'm so curious to know if you read Post-Traumatic Slave Disorder by Dr. Joy DeGruy.
I am definitely a fan of hers, right? Every time I see her speak, I think like she is really, really dope. Interestingly enough, I've put myself on pause from reading certain types of books so that way my thoughts can remain pure enough for the book that I have to write. And so I'm in that space now to where it's like, okay, there are tools and thoughts that are coming through me as a portal that I know that is definitely going to help the people move that much further ahead. But she's one of those cultural icons. We need people like her. We need people like Frances Cress Welsing. We needed people like Nina Simone. That's why they destroyed Nina. They destroyed Nina on purpose, because she was willing to say some things that could move the people, and they wanted her silenced. And so right now, we're in this space in the United States to where we can speak up on some things, but I do feel like it's going to be a window because, like I was literally looking at this beautiful photography that was on one of Malcolm X's daughter's pages today. And then there was a brother that chimed in and he was like, sis, with all due respect, these are AI images. Okay? So that's the world that we're living in. We have a very small window to speak our generational truths before there is an AI takeover that literally rewrites our culture.
That's scary. So you know what? When the movie I, Robot came out, that was pretty much a predecessor to what's to come as far as this AI takeover is concerned. Because if you look around, a lot of these restaurants are being operated now with AI technology to a space where I think McDonald's alone, There's like certain McDonald's that there's no workers there anymore. There are just literally robots working at these restaurants.
Well,
Yeah, that's
they're getting you
crazy.
comfortable, right? It's just about getting comfortable. And we have to hold on to humanity with everything that we have. And technology is cool. Like, we couldn't have all this greatness going on right now without technology. But we have to hold on to humanity.
Absolutely. So as far as holding on to humanity, like how do we do that? Like where do we start in that regard?
So everything that we talked about as far as like, exercising, doing all of the things that are love-based, having moments of togetherness, invoking, yes, we are outside, and yes, we are going to do things that are natural. We're not just going to type. We are still going to write.
Right.
We're still going to connect in very simple ways before they start sending our babies in different directions. Because now, if you notice, you give a 2-year-old a tablet and they're just going to be swiping, right?
Yeah.
And they don't even know how to go outside and play. They don't know how to go pick berries. They don't know how to go pick fishing pole and get fish, go crawfish, go crab. They don't know the simple things. And so I think that going back to a lot of those elements that we came up with and that our parents came up with, and not forgetting that, those are going to be the tools that really push against technology in a way to where we remain relevant. Because part of what scares me is, like, let's say with my Instagram, I could pass on, right? I could transition on into the spiritual realm, but there's enough social media and enough posts and enough contacts with my image and my voice and my this and my that, to where I still live on through the internet. And as cool as that sounds, that should also scare the living daylights out of us. All right? Because what that means is that there are people who own these platforms, right, that will have control over our spirit. You pick up our cell phone, that's the biggest robot around right now.
Yeah.
Because it knows exactly what our voice sounds like. It knows exactly what everybody's voice who wants to communicate with us looks like. It has pictures of everything that's important to us. It has pictures of us in our most vulnerable states. It has all of our words. It has all of our calendars, where we're going to be next. Okay?
Yeah.
So when you really check for it at that level, it's important to do things like just go to the beach and sit at the ocean. Just go out in your backyard and garden, or just do some jumping jacks. Something that has nothing to do with technology. Like, that's how you activate more humanity.
Absolutely. Detaching yourself from technology, taking breaks away from your phone or computer or TV or whatever you may be, whatever engulfs you as far as how you get your information, getting away from it for a minute.
Absolutely. Because, you do that, and then you're going to be able to get focused and undistracted the way that I was when I first met the Marley brothers, right? Because I didn't have a cell phone back then. I was wide open to what the universe had for me, right? And so I am no more special than the next person. We all are given that right. We just have to choose it.
You were receptive to that energy that was being sent your way.
Indeed.
So you mentioned you got a book on the way. When is that coming? What can we know more about this? Or is it low key? You can't speak on it?
Well, we're speaking on it right now, right? Like, we've been speaking about it this entire time, because I am a Black woman who has survived a great deal, including 3 major surgeries. I have seen so much in the physical and in the spiritual, to where I feel like I could be a tool for others at this stage. I'll be 47 this year. Wow. I feel like I can speak based on things that I've seen that can help the next generations come forward in a way that's not so resistant to the natural. So it's going to be a self-care, a self-love work. And, the thing about that is you got to be willing to do the self-work. Mm-hmm. And I see a lot of people skipping out on that. But it's like, no, like you got to get in there. You got to know when something is good for you and when something is no longer good for you. You have to know when it's time to step into your next level and when it's time to hold on to those things that your grandmother taught you. All of it is relevant, right? It's not so linear as much as it is a circle. And so I want to do my part in firming the circle so that way it remains unbroken.
So do you have a title for the book?
Oh no, I'm not giving up a title name. I got too much sauce for the title now.
I got
but
you.
I mean, but I gave you the premise of it, and it will definitely be an account of what I've seen. If I tell you some of the things that I've seen in the spiritual, you just break out running. But it's interesting. After I saw it, I was able to get my hands on this Haitian Vodun book, and sure enough, it was talking about some of the same things that I saw in that fire. And so it lets me know that it really does exist, but you have to decide which side of it are you going to stand for. And me, I stand for love. I can't do the witchcraft. I think the witchcraft that's within the indigenous and African communities right now is the very same principle how they say when Europeans first came to Africa, we had the land and they had the Bible. And when they went away from Africa, we had the Bible and they had the land. I think it's the very same trickery with witchcraft. I remember when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, I used to be so afraid of devil worshipers and Satanists. I was going to church every Wednesday and Sunday. I was driving myself to church. I chose church before my parents really chose it for me. I set up my own baptism as a 9-year-old. So I've been a very spiritual person the whole way.
Never heard of that.
Yeah. I set up my own baptism. I was going to church with a friend and I felt called. And so, I joined church, and all my mom had to do was buy me a dress and take me to the church. All right. Wow. And so, we do have the power to choose, and I choose love. Right. And so with that stated, I saw where certain mental frailties, things that I see that's like normal, like animal cruelty, all this wickedness that we're witnessing now on the internet, if that was revealed to somebody in the 80s or 90s, they would have automatically said, oh yeah, that person is going to become a serial killer. They're going to become something like really, really dark and evil. But now they've pushed that agenda through us, and I really feel like they did it when they pushed the Illuminati on us back in 2008, 2009, 2010. So, when Jay-Z and Kanye became, the black Illuminati kings within the eyes of the culture, all of that came with it. And now the darkness became ours, but our true darkness is really light. But the negativity around the idea of darkness is what I feel like people are getting seriously misconstrued. Like critically, horribly, insatiably misconstrued.
Wow, that's deep. Wow, I'm gonna have to listen to this episode a few times just to grasp all the information that's been put out there, all the truth that you've been putting out. A lot of gems. Yeah, a lot of gems. So just for anybody that doesn't know, how could they tune in to your movement or tap into your services, get a what kind of facial?
An avocado
facial.
Yeah.
Facial.
Word up.
How can we get that done? What do we need to do that?
So I'm just all smiles because I really thought that we were going to have a self-care and spa conversation, right? But what we've had is a self-preservation conversation. But, you know,
it was necessary.
I think it was very much so necessary. Yeah. And just so that way people do understand who it is that I am. I am a plant-based skin therapist by profession, and by ancestral trade, I am an herbalist. And so with that stated, I am someone who has been put in the position to take care of Black and brown people and really introduce them to self-care, to self-love, to spa, because, you know, spa is a very new reality for us. Yeah. All right? You know, you look at the movies and you see everybody but us really relaxing. And so I want us to remember that our first spa day was in nature, right? When we would go to the river, when we would go to the ocean, when we would sit and meditate, when we would commune with those within our tribe, those were indeed spa days. But we're just now getting to the mental and economic power state to where we can actually do that for ourselves. And so I am manifesting my next location. Got the building over in Southwest Atlanta, and nice. Yeah, we're in renovation stage now, to where by the time we get deeper into the spring, I should be ready for booking, and so people can come see me for organic spa therapies that include my organic plant-based facials, the avocado facial, the phase 5 facial. So I work with everything from plantain, cocoa pod, shea, burdock root, raw honey, raw oats, brown rice, aloe, lemongrass, so many herbs, right? And I love it. I love helping us remember that nature truly can heal us.
Absolutely.
It can optimize us. So yeah, so definitely you can check out my website. I am honeysucklemoon.com. You can Google Honeysuckle Moon. You can hit me up on IG, be a part of my travels, be a part of my consciousness. It's so interesting because I really talked, and I don't talk a lot on my Instagram because, you know, I'm just not here for that. I don't need them clocking me that close. But I wanted to share tonight, and so I just really thank both of you, all of you, for, you know, just the love, for the contributions, you know, for tonight, because I feel like moments like these is really what's going to help our people remember that we can do this.
Absolutely. That's why we had to have you on. Like I deemed it very necessary, just because of the path that you walk. A lot of people, when it comes to self-preservation and self-healing, they are curious to know what they can do, but have no idea as to how to go about it. And so the likes of yourself coming along, providing that information, is vital and necessary. You're a vessel out here. So you're necessary and you're needed in all facets. So we are certainly honored to have you here, and we're thankful for you coming to bless us with your presence and to give us this information and knowledge.
Man, look, this was one that I won't forget for a very long time. You know, this is for the focused, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Honey, I just want to say it one more time. Honeysuckle Moon. That name is just amazing. Anybody that sees the title of this episode, they're gonna have to tap into your everything, just because I don't know, it just draws a certain amount of curiosity. Like, who is that? You know, I just think that's the dopest name, and you got the look to match it.
Thank you.
Love the outfit, the glasses, and I think I heard you say your locks are a yard long.
Yeah, I've got some that are like reaching past my calf muscles now, you know.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And how long has that journey been? How long have you been growing them?
Very good question. So my crown of locks turned 24 last month.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so January 99.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, bars is at the beginning.
Yeah, stay patient.
Yeah, bars at the beginning stages.
Oh, yeah.
She rocking it, though.
I was checking her out. I was loving the vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just stay patient, sis. Do very little to your hair, and your hair will thank you. You know, I'm almost 50. I still got my edges.
Right.
Yeah.
So before we go, just real quick, what's your daily skincare regimen? Because you also have amazing skin. So I'm just curious, what do you do on a daily basis to keep your skin up to par?
First and foremost, I accept water as one of my first Christ saviors. Like you drink water. That's
Drink
first
water.
and foremost. You drink water. You want to take out the white sugar. You want to take out, the fatty foods. You want to just break all of the bad habits and increase your water intake. As it relates to my skincare regimen, I have a couple of products that I do utilize daily from my line, and that consists of black tea soap, which is a plantain and cocoa pod based skin wash for combination skin types. If you can believe it, I am a combination skin type. All right. I also utilize my hydrating facial toner, Herbal Feel Skin Cooler, that has aloe vera, elderflower, vitamin C, and grapeseed. And so, like, you're really boosting the skin, plus giving it real-time detox energy with burdock root. And then I have a coconut hemp shea butter that I go and I utilize as moisturizing support. So very simple, but like I said, just like how you brush your teeth daily, you should stick to a facial regimen daily. Like, it's really important, because sometimes I'll meet people, they don't get into, a true facial regimen until they see a skin problem. Then they say, I need to correct it. Then when we get it corrected, then they fall off the train again. But if you think about it, like putting on deodorant or like brushing your teeth, you know that that's something you got to do daily. Like, there's no getting around it. And so you treat your skin.
Unfortunately, not everybody knows you got to do that daily.
Well, I need them to come sit with me, and we'll have some good self-care time.
I like the way you brought that back in.
Yeah.
So this has been a super dope episode. We really appreciate you. And
Thank you.
Is there anything anybody wants to put out there before we wrap this up completely?
This was amazing.
Thank you.
Bars was digging the vibes from the podcast. It's like we keep having these episodes, and it's just like I don't know how to explain it. Every episode is better than the last one, This one took the cake. We didn't have so many dope episodes, but we truly appreciative to have you. Cause I'm just thinking, chopping up the footage, I'm like, man, it's gonna be so many like little clips that we can use from this one.
She gave us the blueprint to life, bro.
The blueprint to life. That might be the name of the episode, the blueprint. But yeah, if you have anything else you want to put out there, you can. If not, then Tastro, he takes us out with his thing. You might have heard it if you listened to the previous podcast. Or Bars might have some she might want to put out there. Whoever, the stage is open right now.
Well, I'm gonna say this once again to my people: stay alert, stay alive, because the life that you may save could very well be your own. I know, like I reiterate this all the time, but it's one of those things that we have to become aware of every single day. Like, you can control what goes on around you as far as things happening to you if you are being alert, if you're being aware of your surroundings. What they call it, situational awareness. We must have that, especially to my ladies out there. Stay aware of where you are, who you with, what you got going on, where you're going, and so forth, because there's a lot of, evil people out here trying to do some vindictive things towards individuals. So you have to be aware of this, and you have to make sure that you keep yourself safe. So once again, stay alert, stay alive, stay alert, stay alive, stay alert, stay alive.
Ashe.
Yeah, that's like the what was that, Def Comedy Jam, where they used to end it, thank you, God bless, good night. Was that Def Comedy Jam? That's officially our outro. Stay
Yeah.
alert, stay alive.
I feel that.
Russ Simmons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing he would ever say.
Right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's our outro. But yeah, once again, it's been a dope episode. Appreciate all the listeners. Appreciate our amazing guests this evening. Appreciate Tastro, Bars in the building, working the cameras. But yeah, that's it. Another dope episode. The Unfocused and Focused Podcast. And we out of here.